Hi, Guy Griffiths here with part 3 of our short webinar series on planning your club's future. If you missed part 1 and part 2, do go back and catch those up, both quick 10-minute videos as well. You can find them on LinkedIn or on YouTube or on Facebook. We talked last time about future memberships and about member communication. And I really see future memberships and the growth being outside the club with remote and online or virtual memberships. Lots of details on those as we went through that last presentation. We also talked about listening to customers. Member communication of the future is not just about sending messages out and getting your message across to your customer, but it's more about feedback and listening to them as well. Lots of detail in those. Today, I want to talk about future retention strategies and how I see retention changing as we go forward in the future of the fitness industry. So retention strategies, it's important now more than ever to know your customer. Traditionally, what we've known about our members or our customers at health clubs is when they visit. Now, there's some good news here because visit information is now a lot richer. It's a lot better, from budget clubs through leisure centres and trusts and independent gyms. Across the board, we've got much better visit data now because members are having to either book a session or certainly check in every time they come to the club, whether it's for track and trace or to ensure capacity isn't exceeded. And actually, this is going to have a really positive effect. I'm seeing it already. Most members, the majority of the members at our client clubs are really enjoying the fact that they have to book in. They're committing to a session, and it's almost like going to a class. In that you have to book a space. It's the same going to the club. So you're booking a time to go and visit and you're committing to that. You're taking up someone else's place. And if you don't go, the penalty is going to be accepted by most members. So of course there's one or two grumblers, but in the majority people are enjoying this. And I believe just having to book your time to go and visit the club is a positive. It's not for everyone. In fact, I don't have to book to go to my club. But in general, this is a good thing for retention. As well as visits, though, of course, we now have activity data. I mean, we've always had it, but this is also richer, and we have more information about our members. Those who aren't visiting the club are still exercising. They've been exercising through lockdown. People are exercising now in England, even though we haven't opened up again. But knowing what data we've got on our members, whether they're running around the park with their Strava on or just walking the dog, let's get that data. Let's encourage members to share that with us as clubs, because we can know that we can support them in being active outside the club, which is what we talked about with future memberships. And finally, I covered it a lot last week, but feedback and comments. It's not just about getting data from our members and knowing when they're visiting or when they're being active, but it's about giving them a high five or giving them some extra motivation or that kick up the arse to say, come on, let's get you active. Let's support you with your active lifestyle. So getting feedback and comments and communication back and forth with the members. Now, taking all this data, we can build this into KPIs. I talk about this a lot. And there's a lot more coming, I think, in terms of the richer data we're going to have in the industry, which is going to enable us to look at our member numbers and understand what our members are doing, what they want, to know where we're at in terms of member dropout, but also whether members are dropping between different membership levels as well. As well as member information, what our members are doing, it's good to look at the next level up at our memberships and to know what the split is of people who are on maybe the core, the peak or off-peak membership, but also who's just on the app membership or who is going up the scale and buying PT. Knowing the average length of membership for those different members, knowing how long people tend to stay engaged with the app. I believe that's going to be a harder ask. Retention of digital members is going to be harder, but that just means we'll have to work harder at it. And it's tying those numbers into, what are these members worth to us? What is the revenue? What's the average yield of each membership type? And knowing what it's costing us as a business. And bringing those all together, there's some really interesting projects going on at the moment on benchmarking, which will be great to compare yourselves against others in the industry or similar clubs to yours. But trend analysis is also going to be so important. We're not going to be analysing, how clubs are performing in January 2021. with January 2020, it's going to be very different. But knowing how we're performing month on month or even week on week and adapting and constantly pivoting is going to be really important, and will feed back into the membership, the future memberships that we were discussing a couple of weeks ago. So with all this data, what do we do? How do we help build our retention strategy? Well, I'm not going to go into masses of detail here in the time that we've got, but the key is to activate our new members and to motivate our existing members to keep them either coming to the club or visiting. There's going to be new interactions that we have now. It's not just going to be you get an induction and you have a program review. We need to know that if members are visiting, great, but if they're not, are they still active? Have they logged a virtual class? Have they logged some activity through the app? Or when did they last have a weigh-in or a check-in if they're on a metabolic balance membership? So these kind of triggers and data sets are going to be important, and then we can start to activate and motivate our members. And for those who are inactive, the big ask at the moment is how we get members back off freeze. And part of that goes back into the future membership models that we were discussing a couple of weeks ago. Can we talk to them? Can we communicate with them about the best membership option for them? Can we get them onto our app? Is that £1 a month, or is it free at the moment, but we know that it is going to cost something further down the line? So it's all about conversations and communication. And just going back into the membership models, I'm drawing them a slightly different way today. This is not looking at the cost. I'll come back onto that, or the price. But the number of members, I think if we've got 1,000 members, say, on a peak or off-peak membership, scale that up or down according to your club, we've probably got 5 or 10% of those on full PT. So that's the kind of, we go down in terms of maybe there's 50 or 100 members who are looking at PT. Up at the other end of the scale, I think in the future, in a year or two's time, we'll have the same, if not a few more members on remote coaching, not visiting the club, but working out at home or getting some motivation and coaching and advice from your PTs or from your instructors on their fitness. Right at the top of the scale, we should have 2,000 or 3,000 people on an app membership, not a free app membership, but that £1 a month or £10 a month, something like that, because they're getting fitness support and you're supporting their health or their nutrition through the app, and that they're getting enough value for that to pay for it. And I really think we should have many more members on that kind of membership than we do on the I'm visiting the club for a workout or for a class. And there's the other memberships that we talked about in there as well: nutrition, metabolic balance. That's how I see the number of members on these memberships in future. In terms of the value, just going back to that, sure, we are looking to upgrade people from peak membership to full PT. There's always that upsell. And there will be an upsell, and lots of people who are giving away the app for free at the moment do see it as an upsell process to get people into the club. But from a retention point of view, I also see a downsell of people who are trying to get off freeze or off suspension, or ex-members, or people that are trying to leave or cancel their membership now. Let's drop them down a level rather than lose them completely. Rather than take £30 or £50 a month from them, or try and take that for another month or two, let's move them down to remote coaching for £10 or £25 a month, or even onto the app for £1 a month, and keep them for another 12 months. It's much better to retain them on something than to lose them completely. So it's not just about the upsell, certainly from retention, it's about the downsell as well, and about keeping members engaged on some form of membership, as we covered a couple of weeks ago. And those other memberships in there, nutrition, metabolic balance, that we mentioned. So hopefully that was interesting. You should now know more about your members. Use that knowledge to motivate and activate them, and use the data that your members generate to help grow your business. If you have any questions or want some more ideas, want a discussion about this, about what's going on in your club, about whether it's future memberships or member comms or retention strategies, then do reach out for a chat either on LinkedIn or on email, guy@ggfit.com. It'd be great to have a conversation with you about your club. And yeah, other than that, thank you very much for listening.